phone lines.
How good was Chernobyl by HBO when it comes down to being accurate? Here comes the second part of our HBO vs Chernobyl episode. In the last one we've told you a bit about Valery Legasov apartment, Sherbina and Legasov friendship and for example immediate deaths after the disaster happened and even some more. And now prepare for another batch of new interesting facts about HBO famous miniseries. So, let's start again with Valery Legasov. Question number 6. Did Legasov actually expose the USSR lies during the trial facing the accused Dyatlov, Brukhanov and Fomin? Do you remember that vigorous speech, that explanations of how a nuclear reactor works? These revelations he spoke before the court about USSR's nuclear energy plan was cheap? Yeah, don't be so proud of him because of that yet. The short answer to the question would be no. But it may be even more distant from the truth than you may think. His testimony, so interestingly pictured by the HBO, was total fiction. Valery Legasov wasn't even present at the trial at all. I really understand that the creators of the show wanted to picture Legasov as a hero, which he truly was, but there is a very small chance that an actual citizen of Soviet Union would speak against it so openly, being recorded by cameras and in the presence of so many party officials. In the previous part, I told you that he did reveal the truth about the whole incident at the International Atomic Energy Agency review meeting in Vienna, 4 months after Chernobyl happened. But even then, he withheld important details, blaming mostly human error and poor design of the reactors. But he never told anything against the Soviet Union so openly, at least not in the manner shown in HBO's miniseries. Even the show's creator Craig Mazin said that this scene was only inspired by the circumstances. Especially the trial took place over several weeks and also included dozens of people never shown in the TV series. Question number 7. If the trial scene was an imagination, what else in Legasov's character was? Well, there were many small differences between the real Legasov and the one portrayed by Jared Harris, but to some extent, HBO did a great job. They even took care of the face scars Valery got from his experiments during his science career. But there is that overall martyr/savior behavior HBO pictured. One of the most ridiculous scenes happens in the very first episode, when Legasov is called to a party leadership meeting in Kremlin. Believe me, not even the most rebellious academic bookworm would dare to raise his voice on USSR leader, in that case, Gorbachev. No one would also openly challenge the head of the KGB, which in the communist times was a really terrifying organization.
When the bullet hits your skull, what will it matter? Why?
I think that these two behaviors were the most unbelievable ones I've seen in the whole series. Question number 8. Is it possible that people could see a beam of light over the power plant after the disaster happened? Well, and that one is a tricky one. However, Cherenkov effect, mentioned in the series by Dyatlov, is actually a natural phenomenon which could be observed, for example, in underwater reactors. The beam shown in the series brought up some disbelief. There was even a discussion between New York Times science journalist and the show's creator. The first one said that there was no way that scene was scientifically correct, but Craig Mazin defended it by relying on eyewitness testimonies. To give him credit, the author of Midnight in Chernobyl said that both Legasov and Yevchenko, a power plant engineer, saw the beam of light. Yevchenko described it as a shimmering pillar of ethereal blue-white light, reaching straight up into the night sky, while Legasov said in one interview shortly after the disaster that it made the sky turn purple. So we may place this one under the possible/real scenes. Question number 9. Party members meet in the bunker shortly after the disaster and decide to cut off any unauthorized contact with the outside world. Did that really happen? The Sharkov character, an elder statesman that give his little speech about containing the spread of misinformation.
Contain the spread of misinformation.
And about relying on the state as the state means good for people.
That is how we keep the people from undermining the fruits of their own labor.
Yeah. He was totally an imaginated person. No party official like him ever existed. But on the other hand, His speech was pretty much real if we mean what could happen at that kind of meeting. It resembles Soviet thinking well, as this is almost exactly what a high-ranking official would say at that time in the USSR. That is how we keep the people from undermining the fruits of their own labor, with little or no concern about human life at all. Question number 10. Was Legasov really a whistleblower who defied the Soviet Union? Well, no. The idea behind the TV series was to show the people factor in all that happened in Chernobyl, including the heroic deeds, and one of those deeds was the trial when Legasov was telling the real story about the disaster, which you already know wasn't true. To be honest, the decision to include a lot of real people inside one character, in this case Uliana Homiuk, was a good thing to do if we think of how the story was told. It definitely gave speed to the narrative and was easier for viewers to follow. Besides, Legasov didn't really expose the lies of the USSR to the scientific community that much, as many of them already knew about the flaws in the RBMK reactor design. This doesn't mean his tapes, which he really recorded and shared with some people, weren't an important part of the whole post-Chernobyl story. However, Valery wasn't really a whistleblower. We really have to give him a lot of credit for the work he did after the disaster. So, that's the today's trivia about HBO Chernobyl, guys. Have a great weekend, stay tuned, and wait for another episode next week. And also, thanks for spotting my little mistakes in the previous video. Sorry for that. Too much technical talk got me off my guard and I mixed up some small details. I will correct them in the next video about RBMK reactors. I promise. Stay safe and see you soon, guys.